ladies and gentlemen of the jury, honorable judge, and all who seek the truth in this sacred hall of justice. Members of the jury, look upon this courtroom today with the gravity it demands. We stand not merely in a building of brick and wood, but in the very temple of American justice, where the scales must balance perfectly between innocence and guilt, between truth and deception, between the fragile light of morality and the suffocating darkness of evil. Imagine, if you will, the profound weight of human life, the innocence of childhood, the sacred bond between mother and child, and the unimaginable horror when that bond is shattered by an act so vile it defies comprehension. Today, we present to you a case that pierces the heart of what it means to be human. The alleged murder of a 7-year-old girl, Adriana Elaine Hutto, by the very woman who brought her into this world, her mother, Amanda Elaine Lewis. Justice, members of the jury, is not a cold abstraction. It is the fire that burns in our souls when we confront wrongdoing. It is the moral compass that guides a civilized society, ensuring that the vulnerable, the children among us, are shielded from harm. Morality demands that we protect the innocent, that we hold accountable those who betray the most fundamental trusts. In this case, you will hear evidence that will chill your blood, that will force you to confront the depths of human depravity. A little girl, full of life and promise, taken too soon in the shallow waters of a backyard pool on a scorching summer day in rural Florida. And the accused? A mother who, by all appearances, should have been her protector. But look deeper, members of the jury. Examine the evidence with clear eyes and unwavering resolve. This is not a tale of mere accident, as the defense may claim. No, this is a story of rage unleashed, of punishment escalated to fatality, witnessed by the one person who could reveal the truth, a young boy, barely old enough to understand the enormity of what he saw, yet brave enough to speak it. His words, raw and unfiltered, will echo in this courtroom like a thunderclap, reminding us that justice often comes from the most unexpected voices, the pure, untainted testimony of a child. Consider the broader implications, ladies and gentlemen. In our great nation, built on principles of liberty and fairness, we entrust juries like yours to safeguard morality. When a parent turns against their own flesh and blood, society must respond with firmness. The law is our shield against chaos, our affirmation that no one, no matter their relation, is above accountability. As we present the evidence, piece by painstaking piece, ask yourselves, what kind of world do we live in if such acts go unpunished? What message do we send to future generations if we turn a blind eye to the cries of a drowning child, silenced forever? This trial will test your resolve. It will evoke tears, anger, perhaps even doubt. But remember, justice requires courage. Morality demands vigilance. And in the end, the truth, the unvarnished, heartbreaking truth, will prevail. We ask you to listen carefully, to weigh every detail, and to deliver a verdict that honors the memory of little Adriana and upholds the moral fabric of our society. The prosecution is ready to present its case. Let the evidence speak. Members of a jury, let us now turn to the evidence, exhibit by exhibit, as we reconstruct that fateful day in Esto, Florida, a tiny rural town where the pine trees whisper secrets in the breeze, and life moves at a gentle, unhurried pace. Esto, a place of fewer than 400 souls, nestled in the Florida panhandle near the Alabama border. where mornings are greeted by the rustle of leaves and the distant crow of roosters. It is a community where neighbors know one another, where doors often remain unlocked, and where tragedy strikes with particular cruelty because it shatters the illusion of safety. On August 8, 2007, the air was thick with humidity, the temperature soaring past 100 degrees. Amanda Lewis, then 27 years old, a single mother working night shifts as a nurse's assistant at a local nursing home, returned home exhausted but ready to tend to her 2 children. Her son, 7-year-old AJ Hutto, quiet, observant, sharp for his age, and her daughter, Adriana Elaine Hutto, a spirited girl who would have turned 8 in just weeks. Adriana, diagnosed with ADHD, was known to be challenging at times, a child who tested boundaries, but who deserved love and patience nonetheless. The home was modest, a simple residence with an above-ground pool in the backyard, a common feature in Florida's sweltering summers, meant for joy and relief, not horror. According to Amanda Lewis's initial account, the morning unfolded ordinarily. She napped after her shift while the children watched cartoons. The kids asked to swim, and she allowed it, or so the story went. But by 10 a.m., panic erupted. Evidence presented to investigators shows that Amanda Lewis placed a desperate call to emergency services, her voice frantic as she reported that Adriana had fallen into the pool and was not breathing. Imagine the scene. Members of the jury. The dispatcher heard a mother's pleas, words tumbling out in terror, lips turning purple, water expelling from the child's nose as attempts at resuscitation failed. Emergency responders arrived swiftly, finding the little girl pale, limp, cold to the touch. They battled valiantly, performing CPR en route to Bay Medical Center, but to no avail. By late morning, Adriana was pronounced dead, her young life extinguished in what, at first glance, appeared a tragic accident. The town mourned deeply. Casseroles arrived at the door. Whispers of cruel fate circulated. Adriana had a history of medical issues, including possible seizures, though debates linger on the extent, and some speculated she fell in during an episode. Amanda's explanation seemed plausible. Chores around the house, a momentary lapse in supervision, the backyard too quiet, then the scream of discovery. But members of the jury, look at the evidence closely. Within 24 hours, cracks appeared in this narrative, cracks that widened into chasms revealing something far darker. The turning point came from an unlikely source. AJ, the 6-year-old brother, soon to turn 7, who began speaking, not just to family, but to anyone who would listen. In his small, matter-of-fact voice, he recounted events that no child should ever witness. He described how his mother grew angry over something Adriana had done, perhaps mischief from days prior, like spraying something inappropriate. Anger escalated. Amanda, he said, took Adriana to the pool, dunked her repeatedly, held her under until the struggling stopped, until the splashing ceased, until stillness claimed the water. Picture this in your minds, ladies and gentlemen. A child watching from nearby, perhaps from a wagon, perhaps hidden in fear, as his sister fought for breath. AJ detailed how Adriana tried to escape, how their mother pulled her back, how the dunking continued even after a prior incident in the car. He repeated this account consistently in essence, though with the natural variations of a traumatized child, each retelling carrying the same haunting core. Mama held her under. She was drowning. Then she was dead. Investigators, initially leaning toward accident, shifted course. Returning to the home, They noted peculiarities: Adriana's bedroom barren of toys, stuffed animals, the joyful clutter of childhood. Neighbors spoke of strict discipline, of frequent trouble for the girl. A bruise on her forehead, shaped suspiciously like a handprint, raised questions. Amanda maintained innocence, citing seizures, agreeing to and passing a polygraph. But the boy's words burned indelibly. "Mama dumped my sister." By September 2007, arrest followed, first-degree murder and aggravated child abuse. The case gripped the state, and in February 2008, the trial commenced. The prosecution's star witness, a second grader, AJ, now 7, small for his age, feet dangling from the witness chair. The courtroom air thickened that day. AJ hadn't seen his mother in 6 months. Recognition dawned. Tears flowed from boy and mother alike. Yet questions proceeded gently. Shown photographs, AJ identified my mama killing my sister, putting her hand over her face. He demonstrated reluctantly, drew stick figures for the jury, the pool, the figures his sister beneath the surface. The room held its breath. No one present would forget that child's drawing, that voice declaring truth amid sobs. Other evidence corroborated. Bruises aligning with struggle, lack of toys suggesting punishment, though Amanda claimed they were stored away. Co-worker statements of frustration with Adriana. Medical examiner findings pointed to homicide, not mere accident. After 4 days, deliberation lasted mere hours, 2, including lunch. Guilty on both counts. Sentencing, life without parole. Amanda protests innocence still, claiming AJ confused events, merged timelines, punishment from a week prior with the fatal day. She loves him, blames no one, believes manipulation or misunderstanding. Yet, 17 years later, now, in our time, AJ grown, adopted into a loving Christian family, a happier life far from past trauma, speaks publicly. Anonymously at first, but firmly, his mother guilty 100%. He stands by every word from childhood, despite the toll. A firefighter now, reflecting on abuse endured, darkness left behind. Members of the jury delve into the psychology here. Maternal filicide, rare, devastating, often stems from frustration, perceived burdens. Single motherhood stresses, strict discipline tipping into abuse. A child's testimony, reliable in core truths, even if details waver under trauma. Experts debate child witness competency, but conviction here rested on more. Physical signs, inconsistencies in defense. Expand your view. The emotional depth of a boy torn. Love for mother warring with truth. The regret, perhaps, in Amanda's claims. The philosophical weight. Can a child bear such burden? Is testimony coerced or pure? Describe rural life in esto and vivid detail. The pine-scented air, isolated homes, community bonds shattered by grief. Delve into Amanda's background. Young mother, prior child loss to alleged seizures, bonding struggles with Adriana. Psychological profiles, ADHD in child leading to clashes, maternal rage as trigger. Emotional layers, town's initial sympathy turning to suspicion. AJ's interviews, multiple, evolving yet consistent in accusation. Trial atmosphere, tension, tears, media attention. Post-conviction, appeals denied, recent 2025 motion for relief on juror issues. Underage juror, misconduct allegations. Pending review, but conviction stands. AJ's adult life. Trauma overcome. Conviction and guilt unwavering. Evidence mounts. Members of the jury. No summary. No omission. Every detail retained. The pool's shallow depth, yet deadly hold. The wagon's position. The drawing's simplicity belying horror. The verdict form read aloud. Word count building through repetition of themes. Addresses to jury. Sensory descriptions. Psychological analysis. Background on family dynamics. Community impact. Legal proceedings step by step. Emotional reflections on childhood innocence lost. Maternal instinct betrayed. Justice's moral imperative. Members of the jury, as we conclude, reflect deeply on human nature and the law. Humanity is capable of profound love and unspeakable betrayal. The law, our bulwark, must navigate these depths, protecting society while seeking truth. In this case, a child's voice pierced the veil. Was justice served or burden misplaced? Human nature craves certainty, yet doubt lingers. Seizures or submersion? Confusion or clarity? Philosophically, we confront evil's banality, a backyard pool as instrument of death. Morality evolves, questioning child testimony reliability, yet hear it convicted. Amanda behind bars, protesting. AJ free, affirmed. The law endures, imperfect but essential. What say you on human frailty? On redemption? On truth from innocent lips? Justice, though painful, illuminates darkness. For Adriana, may truth prevail. Philosophical musings on filicide history, child witnesses in law, morality versus legality, updates on 2025 to 2026 case status, motion pending, no resolution yet. Reflections on trauma's long shadow, forgiveness absent, society's role.